Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the Habi Web Technologies team, welcome to our webinar on developing collaborative skills among learners. How's everyone? Okay, so let me check our live chat and check the location of our viewers. Wow, we have viewers from Capiz, from Sorsogon. We also have viewers from Taytay, Sudan, Africa. Surigao del Norte. Hi, ma'am. Hi, sir. Watching from Caloocan City, Mr. Jericho Henson. We also have someone from Jakarta, Indonesia, Kyrgyzstan, Calamba, Laguna, from Muntinlupa, Miss Annalie Amihan, Malolos, Bulacan, Miss Angeline Narciso. Hello po, good afternoon. Al-Hassa, Saudi Arabia, Mr. Jordan Aquino. Good afternoon, sir. All right, so welcome everyone. Thank you for being with us today. Okay, so before we begin with our session for today, let us first announce the requirements for you to be able to receive a free digital certificate. By the way, I am Jadeline Reyes de Vera, and I will be your moderator for this afternoon. So how to get a digital certificate? All you have to do is pass the quiz and answer the evaluation at the end of the webinar. It will be open for a week and can be accessed on our website. Okay, so without further ado, let me introduce to you our resource person. Our resource person for this afternoon graduated from the University of Santo Tomas with a bachelor's degree in information technology. He obtained a certificate in teaching from Philippine Normal University, and currently he's taking his Master of Arts in Industrial Education degree, major in Technology or MAIE-ET at Technological University of the Philippines, Manila. He has 10 years of teaching experience, which started in 2010 when he served as an instructor at Philippine Normal University. He also became an assistant teacher at Ateneo de Manila High School from 2012 to 2014. Currently, he's a lecturer 3 at De La Salle University Dasmariñas and instructor at College of Divine Wisdom. The subjects that he handles range from computer subjects to educational technology. So let us all welcome Mr. Rafael John Rivera. Sir RJ.
Hello mga kahabi. Okay. I'm here once again for you to deliver another useful talk to you guys na magagamit natin sa everyday teaching natin. So for this specific session, we'll be dealing with developing collaborative skills among learners. Okay, so let me just share my screen para pakita ko yung presentation. Okay, so let's begin. So first and foremost, okay, so let's see our session agenda for today. So we have three things to look forward to. First is to define collaboration in the digital age. Second is to identify the best practices for learner collaboration. And third is to apply online tools for learner collaboration. Okay, so let's start first with the initial agenda. Okay, so what is collaboration? Based on the Merriam-Webster dictionary, collaboration is defined as working with another person or group to achieve or to do something. Okay, so when we speak of this specific activity, we may interpret it as two ways. Okay, collaboration is very vital for everyone because it helps us accomplish group tasks, whether it is for work setting or in school, or if it is in other social settings. So, for example, in families, in friends, in specific gatherings, or even in video games, collaboration matter in order for you to be able to accomplish the specified goal of that activity. Okay. Now there are two facets to look at, which is cooperation and collaboration. Now these two things are very similar with each other, but we should take note that one is more preferred than the other because it leads us towards the fulfillment of our specific task. Okay. So what have you noticed in these two pictures? Okay. So the first one, the one on the left, this is actually demonstrates cooperation or a method or a means of getting along well and behaving well with each other. Okay. Now this may look similar with the with collaboration, which is the one on the right, but the difference is that collaboration deals with accomplishing a specific goal. So it's not just merely being able to bond well with the other people in the specific group, but more importantly, to be able to deliver the specified goal of an activity with all of those specific group members. Okay. Now, how can we be able to collaborate with each other much easier? And also, how can we enable our students to be collaborative with each other? Given that they have different contexts, they have different backgrounds, they have different quirks and personalities. So how could we enable them to collaborate with each other seamlessly? So first and foremost, I think it's best to identify each student's specific strengths because, as mentioned, each student is a different individual with his and her own capability. Okay, so with these specific strengths are the following. Okay, so there are those that are good in organizing things, organizing meetings or organizing tasks, for example, or generally being able to bring people together. Okay, so that is one strength, that is one specific strength of a learner. So not everyone has this specific skill, but if we could identify these students that have these skills and then we join them together with other students that have complementary skills, therefore we could ensure that collaboration would occur with them in a specific group setting. Now, second, another strength that a student could show would be in terms of communication. So let's say a student is not merely um, that adept in building large groups or coordinating with a lot of people, but he is able to articulate well the desired outcomes or the specific messages that need to convey. So that's another strength that a specific individual or that a student could use in order to collaborate effectively. Other than that, there are also students that are very good in detail. So they could perform quality checks within a specific collaborative work. Like for example, if we are grouping students, let's say into threes or fours for a project, each of these students would exhibit these specific values that would be that would enable them to further the success of that specific activity. Okay. Now, aside from the quality checker, which is nitpicky with the details, there is always this one person in a given group that would be able to lead the entire group itself, the so-called group leader. Okay. Now we know that not everyone has this specific leadership skills, but nonetheless, this specific person, this specific student, is able to rally across the different members of the group in order for them to be able to perform with that specific with the intended objective of the activity. Okay. Now, aside from being able to lead the group itself, there are also certain people or certain students that are more involved in distributing the work among themselves. So this one is the task manager among the group. Okay, so the task manager deals with and assigns different things to do. Like for example, in a given project, um, the task manager would delegate people that, for example, student A would be in charge of printing, student B would be in charge of researching in the library, and student C would be perhaps doing the editing of the videos, for example. Okay. Now, these specific strengths would enable the team of the students to be able to perform well and to accomplish the task utilizing all of their combined skills. Now, aside from these five, there are other miscellaneous strengths that is very much useful in the long run as a given task or a group of students um, are accomplished. So the next type of strength that is available would be the so-called energizer, which is the life of the group, the one that serves as a spark plug for motivation and keeps everyone at their most motivated level. So even if, for example, the deadline is looming, as long as there's that one person who's really cheering up for everyone in order to finish the work, surely the entire group would be able to um, put across that specific task. And aside from that energizer, as we know that when a deadline really comes near, there are certain disputes that happen inside the different groups. And most of the time, we teachers are not able to see those things that happen behind the scenes. Now, students or members that are the harmonizers are quite crucial in this specific aspect of the phase of the group work, because harmonizers smooth things out when there are disagreements or when tensions arise within the group. They are the ones who make the other members calm down and think rationally. They are the ones who keep everything jive together. And last but not the least would be the so-called innovators. Now, the innovators are full of ideas and they are efficient and effective in finding ways in accomplishing a specific goals. So probably these are the people that would pitch in the various ideas, maybe sometimes over the top, but nonetheless it gets the point across and helps the group save time and effort in accomplishing the different tasks. Okay, so with that in mind, now take note that these are various skills that are available to all people. Now, each and every one of us has a different aptitude for each of these specific skills. Okay, not one has a monopoly on one or the other. And if you would want to know what are the specific skills of your students, what are the strengths, so aside from observing them throughout the school year and aside from perhaps gathering feedback or data from the guidance office, you could also utilize these specific tools in order for you to be able to determine what are the strengths of the students beforehand, so that whenever you are going to place them in a specific group, they would be able to collaborate well. Okay. Now, some of the assessment tools that we could use in order for us to determine what are the specific strengths of the students are as follows. So, first would be a website. All of these things that I'm going to feature to you are free and easy to use. They are there's no money that is involved that you need to pay upfront when you sign up for these specific what you call it services. Now, most of these give you specific surveys that, after answering, would give you an overview on what your personality is, on what your specific strengths are. Now, the first one is Thrivey.com. That, as I mentioned earlier, the 8 different skills that are available, the 8 different strengths, these are assessed to the specific website. Now, if you at the beginning of the school year, if you set things straight right forward onto your students and have them assessed towards this specific website, therefore you could get a bit of an overview on what their strengths are, and then you could plan more effectively when you are assigning them into specific groups. So aside from that, you could also group people based on their so-called dope personality, or dove, owl, peacock, eagle personality types. So again, this again is another personality quiz that enables you to determine what type of bird reflects the personality of your learner. Now, with the different types of with the different birds that are available here, they could jive well together, and they could bring different effects onto the dynamics of the team itself. And of course, last but not the least, is the most well-known assessment that we have that we utilize, which is the Mixed Brier type indicator, MBTI. So these are usually used in order for us to determine what is the specific personality of a given person, of a given student. Mostly guidance counselors use this specific data, so I guess these are readily available from them, and that you could utilize these specific unique personalities in order to mix and match that groupings that we assign to our students. Okay, so that the outgoing people could be coupled with the more extroverted ones, and so on and so forth. That would give the group work a bit of variety, and as it would allow that specific group dynamics to come into play. Okay. Now, aside from, of course, assessment tools, we now go forward towards the collaborative skills. So, as mentioned, that collaboration is being able to work together towards a single task. Collaborative skills is the behavior that help the two or more people to work together and function well in achieving that common goal. Okay, so there are several collaborative skills that are available that could be honed by our students, that could be honed through our guidance. Okay, and these are as follows. Okay, so the basic collaborative skills are as follows. So in terms of pathways, we and communication. So in terms of pathways, one collaborative skill is the ability to commit yourself with working with others, because commitment to a specific task, doing it alone is quite different with doing it with different people. More often than not, whenever certain students commit to a specific task, if they are not in line with the objective of the task, they may falter in accomplishing that task and leaving the rest to their group mates. But if we ensure that the students commit with working with their team members, therefore we could enable them to be able to accomplish that given task, and it would push through the objectives of that activity or task that we give to them. Now, aside from this one, would be the ability to follow directions. So this is a very important skill that is necessary for students, so that they could be able to accomplish the given assignments and tasks at hand. And of course, as we know, on the reading the instructions is one thing, but following the instructions properly is another. So these are the things that you should consider whenever you are trying to collaborate with others. Now, in terms of communication, okay, one good skill is that to be able to listen to what others have to say, to be open to their specific ideas, and of course, not only to be able to listen, but also to encourage others to speak up, because in a given group, all of the feedback from each and every member is necessary in order to move the task forward. So aside from encouraging others to speak up and to listen to what others have to say, of course you need to speak up also for yourself whenever you have an idea. So for the more timid students, I know it's a bit difficult for it's a more difficult situation for them to be able to communicate to their specific members, but we could try to hone them with these with speaking up whenever we have an idea. Okay, so when we have on our classes, we could encourage them to recite perhaps, and to speak up their minds, and basically encourage their thinking process whenever we have specific queries or questions that give out to them. Okay, and of course, aside from that, is the effective skill of beginning and ending a conversation. Okay, there are people who are easily or have an easy time to begin a conversation that could enable to take a conversation on and on. And there are also people that have a difficulty ending a specific conversation. So with that in mind, whenever we try to hone their collaborative skills, it is necessary to be able to impart to them that the specific practice in which know where when to begin to speak out and when to end a specific conversation. What specific social cues should you follow, and then what how to end a specific conversation politely, whether it's face to face, virtual, or even in a chat setting. Aside from that, of course, there are also skills pertaining to inquiry and other interpersonal skills. So pertaining to inquiry, of course, I think one difficult skill that is not quite shown is the ability to ask for help. It's because I think most people are afraid of being vulnerable, of letting themselves look that they are quite helpless whenever they would want to ask for specific help from anyone. But I think it's a necessary skill for each and every one of us, specifically when we are working in a group dynamic, when we're working in a group setting. So, okay, so I think if we encourage our learners to ask for specific help whenever they do not know any, they do not know, they could not follow, for example, specific directions, or if there are clarifications, that would help them build more engaging questions and more up to point questions regarding our topics. Okay, so similar to that, for asking for help is also asking for questions when confused or curious. So again, this is necessary in order to create that feedback loop, in order to ensure that communication arises well with each other. Okay. Now, regarding the interpersonal skills too, there is also the way to express the concern for others, not just being concerned with the outcomes of the activity, but genuinely to have concern with the other team members. Okay, and of course, with that specific concern is the ability to give compliments whenever specific group mates or team members are doing well with their specific roles. And of course, with compliments come the constructive criticism. Okay, um, again, constructive criticism is necessary for us to be able to achieve that feedback in terms of our communication, and enables the individual learners to be able to it enables the learners to be able to make themselves better in the next try. Okay. Now, in terms of specific task making or accomplishing specific steps of a given role or a given task, negotiation is also a valid collaboration skill. It's because you don't necessarily say that yes to everything that is given to you, for example, on a given collaborative task. The ability to be able to negotiate on what is the scope of your current capability or current bandwidth, for example, is a necessary thing in order for the team to be able to deliver on time appropriately. So there may most of the time, usually in a group setting, the leaders are the one that are working mainly in a given task, but that should not be the case. Okay. Now, for the other members that are quite having a hard time, for example, in a given task, they could again, as mentioned, ask for help from other members and negotiate what are the specific tasks that they could accomplish within their current capabilities. So by being able to negotiate these tasks on hand with their current skill set and their current bandwidth, they could be able to um, employ their skills, their personal skills, and their knowledge in achieving that specific goal of the activity. Okay, so keys to collaboration. Now, after we have learned that these specific things, the specific attributes of the learners. Now, the keys to collaboration are now in line with us as the taskmaster towards the students themselves. Okay, so whenever we give specific activities or tasks to our students, it is necessary that we are able to set foot these specific um, concepts beforehand. So the first key to collaboration is to set clear goals. So you don't just simply give an activity to students just for the sake of giving an activity. You don't just simply group them together just because they have similar surnames or they live close with each other. So you should be able to be clear with your specific goals, with the outcomes of that learning of that specific outcomes of that activity. So once the goals are in line, comes next would be the communication. Okay, so you need to communicate the goals effectively. Like, why should the students accomplish this so-called investigatory project? What is the goal of this investigatory project? And then what are the specific steps in that investigatory project? Okay, so by communicating effectively the objectives and then the steps in which you are able to accomplish that goal, collaboration would be much easier. And finally, would be to actually accomplish that goal. Okay, to do the groundwork in order for you to be able to um, work with each other in accomplishing that specific goal. Okay, so for this point, we'll be dealing with the tools for the collaboration that we're going to employ later on. So if you notice that most of these tools, just a forward, are the things that most of you have already experienced when within the Habi group seminar. Okay, so the tools are, before heading out, I would highly advise that each of you would be able to choose the best medium for collaboration, because there is a plethora of tools that are available, from the various video conferencing tools to the various classrooms and learning management systems that are available. There are a lot of tools really that are among us, that are available to us. But the key there is that we should be able to choose the best medium for collaboration, because each and every tool that we have is suitable for a specific setting. Okay. Now, once you have chosen the best medium for collaboration, you should clearly define how the tools will be used. Like, for example, when will you be utilizing Google Classroom? How often would it be? How often would you be going live on Google Meet, um, facing the learners virtually? Would it be once a week? Would it be twice a week? How often would it be? How long would each session last? Okay, and then, for example, how often are you going to give specific messages through an announcement through the Google Hangouts or the Google Classrooms? Okay, so you need to define how these specific tools are going to be used at the very onset of the school year. Okay, so we are going to make it part of our ground rules in order to set things straight whenever we deploy all of these specific technologies. Okay, so with that in mind, okay, I think we are familiar with the Google Apps because of the previous seminars in Habi Web Technology. Um, Basically, Google Apps allows us to store documents and other files in the cloud, and it works on any computer and device. So, at the very minimum, you only need a browser and a Google account in order for you to be able to work with the specific apps. Okay. Now, a feature of these specific Google Apps is the ability to collaborate on the same file at the same time. So around 100 users could actually go on and edit a given document at a given time. Okay, so it's no longer the way in which we work na will be sending a given file towards a group mate, and then that certain group mate would after editing the file would send it back to us through email or through group chat, for example. But instead, um, all of the members of the team could now collaborate, could now be able to edit and add specific content on those files all at the same time. Okay, so aside from that would be the ability to comment on the file, so to give specific comments and recommendations. Now this is useful when specifically for us teachers whenever we're trying to grade their submission. So uh, we place in certain points of feedback that the students should be able to apply within their specific documents, and then they could reply to us with their thoughts and insights on that specific corrections that we give onto their files itself. And then, of course, the ability to chat with teammates. Okay, so what we're going to do next. So there are three things that we're going to do moving forward. Okay, so first would be we'll be uploading instructions, or we'll be uploading our files using Google Drive or Google Classroom. Afterwards, we're going to customize the share settings of the files in order for our students to be able to access these files. And then we're going to use Google Hangouts chat feature to create parallel breakout rooms. Now take note that breakout rooms are employed in order for us to be able to um, place in specific group work or group dynamics. So before, in the time of pre-COVID, usual collaborative work between students are usually in a classroom setting. We divide them into specific groups, and then these groups would go into their own corners, and then of course, as we know, utilize traditional mediums such as manila paper and markers and the like in order for them to be able to build a specific concept map. Now, nowadays, with the onset of this new normal, we can now actually use Google Hangouts in order for us to create specific groups, to assign students on specific groups, and then get updates to them based on a group basis, without the other groups being able to see the progress of the other group. Okay, and the third thing that we're going to do is to use Google Docs, slides, and sheets in order to be able to enable learners to simultaneously work on files. Okay, so from this point on, we'll be trying it out. I'll be shifting my screen from the presentation up to my towards my web browser. So let's try to follow my lead as I apply these specific actions. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a while, and then it would come back with the Google interface. Okay, so now I'm going to share my Chrome tab, in which I'll be showing my Google Drive, okay, wherein I have pre-uploaded my activity. So for example, if we're going to give out an activity, we must ensure that all of the files that are necessary before the session are already in place. So in here, I have these group activities that are the necessary files for the group activities. So the group activity is a think, pair, share activity, wherein first and foremost we'll be having specific groupings, and then afterwards the students would be filling up um, the templates themselves. Okay, so before opening these specific files, now I would just be showing you what these files contain. So the first one, TPS groupings, is a simple file that contains the following information. So first and foremost, we give the general instructions for the students in order to be able to accomplish this specific roster or file. So think, pair, share grouping. So we indicate here that the students should be able to write their names on this document so that the groupings would be set. Okay, so student 1 and student 2 would go hand in hand together to work with that specific file. And then afterwards, we would instruct the students to allow permission with their specific files in order to share. And then afterwards, to allow the teacher with the given, of course, the given email address credential to be able to view the document, the finished product of the students. And then, of course, once they have shared that permission, afterwards, then they would be able to share that link of the completed worksheet onto this specific file. So the links to the worksheet would be placed here. Okay. Now, aside from the groupings, so let me stop sharing for a while and let me turn to another different file. Okay, I'm going to share again my Google Drive. Okay, so that's the groupings in a nutshell, and then this would be the template. Okay, so this one would actually contain the activity itself. So if you notice, it looks like a very typical worksheet that we have. So we have, of course, a date, the name of the students, and then the given instructions. Okay, so for this activity, the students would be watching the video entitled PIP, a short animated film, within the given link. And then the students would need to answer the question, how did PIP overcome the challenges in becoming a guide dog? And after that, okay, they would now focus on the so-called think, pair, share activity. Now, for those who are quite unfamiliar with the think, pair, share activity, um, basically the process is that um, the student would be thinking on their own uh, what is the answer to the specific question or how to tackle the given challenge at hand. And then the student would be listing down each and every idea that he or she has, and then afterwards would then go forward and pair off with another student and compare their specific notes. Now, after comparing their notes, they would now review all the ideas and then indicate which idea would be the most central or the most important among all of the given ideas based from their collaboration. Okay, so that would be the overview of the specific activity. So let me just unshare this specific screen again, and then afterwards, I'll be changing the different share settings of these specific files. Okay, so again, I'm going to click on stop sharing for a while. Okay, now going back with the groupings, let me share again my screen. Going back again with the grouping, so for example, we are ready to allow our students to edit on the specific file. Let me just click on, in order for us to be able to do that, because at the moment, no one else is able to edit the specific file uh, because it is not yet shared. Therefore, I'll be changing the properties of the collaboration from this specific bar. I think you guys are quite familiar with what this functionality already, based from our previous Habi Web Technologies webinars regarding Google Docs. But nonetheless, this one, again, as a review, would be as follows. Okay, so in order for us to be able to share the file, we click on share. And then we indicate over here the different people who are going to have access to this specific document. Okay, so at the moment, since I am the owner of the file, I'm the only one that is able to edit this specific file. Okay, so I'll be inviting a student. So I'll be inviting Bien. In order for him to be able to place his name in here, and then later on to be able for him to paste his link of the activity in the group setting. Okay, so let me just click on send. Okay, so now that that has been done, and if you notice on the top, there is a notification that states that the person is already added. So I could share, I could add more collaborators here. For example, I'll be placing my student account over here. Now, take note that on the right part, you could actually edit the level of access that each and every viewer or user has with this specific file. So there are three levels of access: viewer, commenter, and editor. A viewer, hello? Okay, I am having quite a technical difficulty, so I'm going to stop sharing and reshare my screen because I have been notified that my current screen is not showing the appropriate um, tab because it has been frozen. Okay, so let me just share again. So can you guys see it now? Okay, so there you have it. Okay, so again, as I mentioned, there are three different types of users that are have access privileges within this given document: the viewer, the commenter, and then the editor. Okay, so the viewer only allows the specific user to just merely view the document and download it. It doesn't allow the user to edit the document. The commenter allows a certain aspect of editing, but it would require the owner of the document to allow the user to allow the specific edits and recommendations of the user. And then finally, editor, which allows full access to the specific file. So, whenever we are giving files to our students, we should take note of these three different access privileges. Okay, so for the files that we just want to give out to them, like for example, templates and instructions, we better place them as the access for viewer because we don't want them to edit anything with the document. Now, for example, in this specific document in which we would want them to collaborate and edit it in real time, we would want to select editor. Okay, so when I click on editor over here, um, the student account would be able to edit this specific file. So I'll click on send, and then this document is now added, and then the specific user is now able to access and edit these specific files. Now, on my mobile, I'll be utilizing my student account and then viewing the file that is shared. Okay. So again, you could access this using the web browser or using the different apps, whether it's on an Android phone or if you're using iPhone or iPads. You could access this utilizing any other devices. So if you notice over here, there is this certain name that is popping up already, Raf Rivera over here. If you notice that the name is in color pink, and if you go onto the upper right hand corner, okay, um, beside the share button and the comment button, there is also the name of the user that is displayed over here. Now, as I mentioned, it is a best practice to invite the users instead of just merely sharing the link with anyone because if that would be the case, then anyone anonymously could be editing the work itself. So, in order for you to be able to put some accountability onto the different users that are accessing the files, therefore, you need to invite them utilizing their email addresses. Okay, so right now, as I can see here, student number one or Rafael Raf is able to edit the specific think pair share groupings. So let's see what he's doing right now. So Raf is currently editing the document and seeing the specific instructions of the activity is now placing his response inside the actual document itself. So if you notice that the cursor is moving, that there is activity that is going on within the given um, document. So all of this is happening in real time. Okay, so this is what we pertain to when we speak of collaboration. Now, more than one user, more than a couple of users could edit the same document at a given time. Okay, so for now, it's since he doesn't have yet a partner. Let's say Bien would be his partner. He'll be listing it down here. Basal Bien. Okay, since the link is not yet the link to the worksheet is not yet done. Okay, this would be left on blank first. Okay, so moving forward, I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and then I'm going to access the think pair share activity. But before doing so, I'm going to show to you on how to utilize Google Hangouts. So let me stop sharing my screen for a while. Okay, so this is the interface of Google Hangout. So it's very much similar with Meet that we are quite used to. The difference is that um, the number of users that are available to be at a specific conversation at a given time is less in Google Hangouts because it's more personalized compared to the reach of the Google Meet, wherein we have a lot of users that could access it at a given time. Okay. Now, one good thing that we could use, for example, in our virtual classes, once we're what you call this once we're utilizing Meet to establish that session for the entire class, we could now head out to Google Hangouts and then create the different breakout rooms or the different groups. So if you notice here on my left side, okay, I have already predefined groups over here, but I could still create new conversations, create new groups, and message specific people in my contacts. Okay, so in order for me to be able to create a new group, a new breakout room, all I need to do is click on new conversation and then click on new group. So I am now able to enter a name for my group. So for example, Team Sampaguita. Okay, and then afterwards I can now enter um, the email address of the various members that I would want to join this specific group. Okay. So for example, again, Bien Basal and then Raf Rivera. And then I'll just click on OK to confirm the creation of that group. Okay. Now, if you notice, Team Sampaguita over here is up. This is a chat window. It looks very similar to FB chat. Okay. But as I mentioned, please do take note that Facebook is a social networking site and has a different purpose from these specific educational suites that we have. So it's best that we have a separation between these two different technologies with two different purposes. So for example, for group collaborations within the class, we should just place it on a given channel, and then the other personal aspects would be on a different channel. Okay, so as mentioned, the Google Hangouts could be used as a means in order for us to be able to deliver group collaboration. So if you notice, here on my left side would be the other groups that are already created, and here on my right side is the chat box that pertain to Team Sampaguita that I have just recently created. Now, this would run in parallel with our Google Meet streaming or video or online class. Okay, or for example, if we are conducting our Google Classrooms, this could also run parallel to that Google Classroom in order for us to be able to group each and every student accordingly, and then to have visibility on the way on the things that they are conversing about. Okay, so in here we could see that this is a usual chat box, so we could actually make video call to that specific group by clicking on this video call button. Now this one would be similar to Google Meet. So when I click on this one, it would of course open up a different window, and it would call everyone on that specific list. Okay. So if you notice over here, Okay. So it would notify actually the learners for an incoming call. Okay. If everyone would be able to join on, then afterwards you could be able to um, speak in the specific room. Now, for a while, I'll be trying to drop the specific call for now. Okay, because of the current streaming that I have right now, everything is actually all of the audio are all in or are all in together. But nonetheless, one way in order for you to be able to save up on bandwidth is to um, keep keep your online class or online virtual session in Google Meet, and then have these specific breakout groups in the Google Hangouts just merely as a chat or SMS. Okay. So for example, in here, Team Santol has been able to respond. So I could ask for example, um, what is the current status of your project? Okay. So when I ask that and I press send, now this message would be seen by all of the members, but only in the Team Santol. So the other members from Team Sapagita or for example from Team Dalandan would not be able to see the specific question. Okay, so now this would allow us to personalize our status updates with our specific learners. Okay, now as you can see, the learner is responding. Okay. Now, other than that, please do take note that you could also customize the given chat group or breakout room. So far, so good. Okay, that's a quite a vague answer, and therefore we would need to visit later the actual file that they're working on. But before that, let me just click on the settings in order to show you the different settings that are available. So when you click on the settings, you could now rename the name of the group. So for example, if you don't like Team Santol or you just want it to just be mainly named as Santol, you could just edit that one. And then you could silence the notification, or you could remove the conversation history, or you could also enable to join this specific chat room using a link. Okay, so again, whenever people are joining the specific chat room using a link, they are able to join it without with actually showing as anonymous. Okay, now again, you could also archive the conversation, which basically saves everything that you have talked about and then puts it just merely as an active part of your chat, or you could downright leave a conversation. Now, one best practice is that you do not actually delete these chat rooms. You just simply archive these specific uh, breakout rooms. Okay, if there are quite too many for you. Okay, but nonetheless, once I've been able to edit, for example, my chat group over here, I could now click on OK, and then the changes would be taken place. Okay. So now I will be messaging the Team Santol. So I'll be sending a link of the activity file that you need to download. Okay. So aside from this one, since I've notified the specific team or the specific group, afterwards I'll be again going back to my documents, to my Google Docs, in order for me to get that specific sharing link, so that the learners would be able to edit it later on. So let me just go towards my Think Pair Share activity again. So I'm going to share this current tab. So if you notice over here, okay, so again, this is my Think Pair Share activity. I'm going to share it with my learner. So I'm going to click on share. But instead of adding people, I'm going to use this copy link. So anyone within the internet can view this link as long as they have that specified link. So I'm going to click on copy link. And then I'm going to go back to my Google Hangouts, and then I'm going to again share my screen. So I'm back at Google Hangout. So for Team Santol, this is the copy of your file. I'm going to paste it there and paste and click and press enter. Now, the students are now able to see the link that I have shared, and when they click on that specific link, it would now open my document. Okay, so with that, we could easily now distribute the different files to our students, and we could also collect their submissions utilizing these specific strategies. Okay, so I'll be going back to the Think Pair Share template. Okay, so now the student Bian Basal is here. So if you notice here on the top, the students who are accessing the templates will be seen over here. And when I do click here on the right part on Show Chat, now take note that this feature would actually pop up once the student is online. Otherwise, you could not be able to chat the student. So again, there are two ways to chat and give specific instructions to students. One is through the use of Google Hangouts, and then once you have given the file that they need to collaborate on, you could now check their progress directly onto that specific file, and then directly chat with them or give them instructions or follow-ups towards the chat within the document itself. Like for example, hey Ben, have you opened the video already? So there, if you notice that my message has been here, and then it could be seen by my student, which is Ben in this case. Okay, so again, in this part, this is very much similar to the way the student interacts. Okay, so sir, not yet, still looking for the link. Okay, so I'm just going to again pinpoint to him that the link is found in the given document itself. So again, in that case, I'm going to use a different feature, which is the commenting feature of the Google Docs, which is a good way in order for you to be able to collaborate. Now, I highlight the link over here on the left side, and then I click on Add Comment. Now, comment is quite different from the chat, in which even if the participants are already offline, they could still see the messages that I post here because it is anchored towards the content of the template or of the document. So I'm just going to type here. I could actually tag specific people. For example, I will tag Bien here. Okay. So now I have mentioned Bien over here, and I will assign this one. Now when I click on this check mark, now they would be notified and they would be marking they are now able to mark this specific part as complete whenever they have accomplished it. So when I click on assign, okay, so if you notice over here on the right, Bien is this part is now assigned to Bien, which means that he see it that whenever that if he have already accomplished a specific part, he can already click on done if he is done with that specific activity. And now in this part, we could check if indeed, for example, whenever we give feedback to our students, we could be able to check if they already did follow up with the feedback that we'd given them, or they have still to edit the given file. Okay. So for each and every action and for each and every comment that we make, of course, there would be an appropriate timestamp. So hindi pa pwedeng sabihin ni student na, sir, I haven't seen the activity yet. Because they would be flagged here, so they would have a notification. They would also have an email stating that they are now are able to edit the specific document. Okay, so with that, these are powerful tools in order for you to be able to collaborate with your students, not only between you and them, but also with them and their other fellow students in the various group-based settings whenever we give them activities. Okay. So for example, there, I think Ben has already been able to view the video. He has already replied a specific comment over here. Okay, so we could now click on check or mark as done and then hide the discussion. Okay, now when you click this one, this would happen. Okay, the comment on the right side would disappear because everything because it has been already accepted, because it has already been done. But if we would click on the comment history, we would actually see here who are the people that have edited document, and if there are any specific comments that are posted, and then what are the follow-ups with a given comment. So for example, in this one, even if I cleared that activity, it would still log on this part. Okay, so in terms of logging, again, the comment that I'd given on that specific part would be recorded here. So the message that I've given him, his reply, and then the timestamp whenever it's done. Okay, so that's how you give actual comments to various learners. And there are specific times wherein the students are needed also to be able to comment on each other's work in order to proofread them, in order to ensure the reliability and the accuracy of the information that is placed in the given documents. Okay, so this feature, which is the comments, the commenting, and the chat in here, aside from the Google Docs, this is also available in Google Sheets and Google Slides. So I'm just going to briefly pull these specific apps for you and show you how it's done. And but these are very much similar. So for a while. So if you notice, okay, so this is Google Slides. So gone are the days of using Manila paper and such, because we could now easily again collaborate with our fellow teammates, our fellow the students with their group mates in creating the different presentations or activities for their classes. Now, similar to working with the documents, you could also work together in a given presentation. Okay, like for example, in this one, I could easily add in other collaborators here. So I could click on share, though this is very much similar. So this toolbar here on the top, it shows the share button, similar with the Google Docs, and then the comments, the comment history here also. You could also add comments through the Explore tab over here. Now, I'm going to first share this presentation. And of course, whenever you create a new presentation, it would ask you what's the name of the presentation. For example, report in English, and then click on save. Afterwards, again, this window would pop out. This is a very familiar window to us, similar with the ones that is in Google Docs. So in order for us to be able to collaborate with another user, again, we would be inviting them using their email address. Okay? And then again, you could notify the people if you would want to. By notifying them, you could actually add in a message. So okay, so for example, that. And then we could check the access privileges from editor. Again, you could change it from viewer to commenter to editor. Now, if you are if you are two students working on a given presentation for a group work or not or whatnot, you should always choose on editor. But if you're going to submit, for example, for towards a teacher, you just simply click on the viewer and then invite that specific and then input the email of the teacher as a viewer. Okay. So since I click on editor here, I'll be clicking on send. and then he will be notified that he is now able to edit this specific presentation together with me. And of course, I could again add specific comments. When I click on this specific comment history, as of the moment, there are no notifications here because there aren't any comments yet. There aren't any edits yet. So if, for example, I'll be placing here a comment, I'll click on this one. I could then tag again using the @ sign and then tagging the email address of the participant of the collaborator. Okay, and I'll be clicking on assign. That would allow him to be notified that they have access privileges to my presentation. So when I click on assign, now Ben would be assigned with the specific part. Okay. Again, similar to the docs, it would now show a check mark on the specific parts in which we would want the other person to be notified. So, for example, since he is here, I've seen him on top. So, if you notice over here, these are all the people that are online now that are editing the slide presentation. Okay, you could again show chat. Again, chat is available once there are active members that are editing that specific file. Okay, so similar to our Google Docs, when I click on chat, it would show up over here on the right part, and then it would show you on top the names of the collaborators for this specific activity. Okay. Now I'll notify Ben that he should be able to change the slide design. Change the layout of the slide. Again, so these are chat. So if you notice that the things that are on my work area is changing. So he's now adding text and adding a different layout of the slide over here. So I could see the way he edits the slide in real time. Okay, now I could give him feedback through the chat, and then I could now, okay, done. And then I could now take this off as done because the task is already given. The specific collaborator, the specific student is now able to accomplish a task, so I can click on done. And then that would remove that specific comment and then keep it on the comment history, similar to the one in which we have done in the Google Docs. Okay, so again, when we scroll this down, all of the different changes would be notified here. Also, different comments would show up here. Okay, now similarly, aside from the slides, we could also do this in our Google Sheets. Okay, so I'm now currently sharing my screen on my Google Sheets. So you guys are now familiar that the Google Sheets is Google's counterpart to Microsoft Excel. It is a spreadsheet program that allows us to be able to do certain computations and ledgers, for example. Now, again, similar to our slides and docs, we have the share button here on the right side, and then we have the open comment history. As I mentioned, whenever we start a new document, the comment history is clear. There is no notifications. There are no comments. But again, by selecting a specific part of the screen and then clicking on comment history and then clicking on add comment, we are now able to add specific comments on that part, on that specific cell of the worksheet. And then we add in our comment, we click on post comment, and then that comment would be there. So it would be it would be hidden unless we mouse over to that specific cell, and then that would be the time wherein this would be displayed. Now, take note that with slides and with our docs, we could also edit the given comments or delete this specific comment, or even link to this comment to a different, for us to be able to share this much easier. Okay, so I'm going to edit my comment and notify that the cell should change in color to green, for example, and save. Okay. Now at the moment, it's still a fresh worksheet. In order for me to be able to add in different people into the specific worksheet to work on with the file, I will click on share. Again, if you have not been able to name the worksheet properly, it would ask you to give a specific file name. Okay, I just gave it a name and then click on save. Afterwards, I am now able to add again my collaborators or the group members that are tasked with editing the specific slide. So again, I'll be adding Ben in the specific slide. Now, notice that if I would be changing his access privileges to commenter, okay, whenever he have specific edits on this file, it would need to be approved by me before these changes would come into place. So I'll be clicking on send and allow him to do specific recommendations and not necessarily edits to this specific file. Okay, so now I've added him to the file, and now he's online, as you can see here on the right. Now, since he's again online with this specific file, I could now chat him in real time. Hi, Ben. Can you edit document? I'd like you to check the comment at cell B2. Okay, he said that he could not edit the given file itself because of the access privileges. Okay, so when I click on share again here, and then I click on the drop down and change his access privileges to editor, pending changes, and then click on save, I'll notify him through chat. Try again editing it. Okay, so since I have updated my permission, at the moment he could now edit this one. So if you notice a while ago, he could comment on that specific slide, but he could not edit it. When he have commented it, it shows here below my given comment. Okay, so it's notified here that he has left the group and he has reopened the document. Now he says that it's working on it. Thank you very much. Okay, now for example, let's say that he has been able to modify the specific changes that I asked him to do. Okay, I will be now clicking on the cell and again clicking on my specific comment and marking it as a resolved comment. And so by clicking again this one, it would hide the comment. Okay, so there are no more comments that are available whenever I hover my mouse over here. And again, everything is still recorded here at the right. So with these specific features, you are sure that each and every member, each and every student of yours is able to participate and collaborate in pushing the task forward and making the necessary changes onto the different files that you assign to them. So whenever they create specific editing, they add any additional content to the document or to the slide, you will be notified because of course you are the owner of that specific file. Okay, and then utilizing the share button, you are able also to add in comments and then change the different what you call this, to change the different access privileges that the different members of the of the team are able to accomplish with that specific file. Okay, so these are the tools that are given. So it's up to you on actually how to apply them most appropriately on your given scenario. You may use them on, for example, group discussions. You may use them on breakout sessions, such as in conducting think pair share groups, or and for example in editing, for example, reports and investigatory projects that you assign to your students. So these are the ways in which we could use Google Apps in order for us to collaborate with teacher to student, and then students to other students. Okay. With that, I'll be going back to my presentation. Let me just share my presentation screen again. Okay. So again, as I mentioned to you, the core competencies regarding collaboration is very much similar to those that are in physical, but the difference is that we have these various tools around, such as Google, Microsoft, Zoom, and the like, that enables us to collaborate with each other. Now, you don't necessarily have to utilize video streaming apps in order to collaborate, because most of the time video streaming apps have a high bandwidth that is asked of us. So in order to lessen that bandwidth, the consumption of bandwidth from us and the students, we could utilize Google Hangouts as chat groups or the so-called breakout rooms in order for them to be able to receive the instructions in certain activities. Okay. Now, again, before wrapping things up, these are the following sources that I have for the various content that I have placed within my given presentation. So you could also check them out. Okay. And of course, giving credits to the images and multimedia assets that I have used within my given presentation. Okay. So with that, I thank you for another session that you've given me. Thank you very much, Habi, Web Technologies, for this very fruitful opportunity. So I'll be giving back the floor to our moderator. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sir RJ, for that informative lecture on developing collaborative skills among learners. This will definitely help our educators once the classes start. So we've consolidated some questions from the live chat. So I'll share a few. First question, there are students that even they were given the chance to speak for themselves, they just keep from being silent. How can we help them?
Okay.
RJ?
Yes, that's a good question actually. I think dito na po papasok yung strategies natin in teaching in order to engage our learners. So meron talagang mga learners na tahimik, yung mga introverts. We could actually challenge them appropriately in order for them to be able to participate in group activities. As I've mentioned, hindi naman kailangan laging via voice yung kanyang pagsagot sa atin. We could utilize chats, because I have noticed that the shy students that are more reserved personally, they are quite the sharers or the talkers kapag chat yung ginagamit natin. Okay, so that's one way to do so. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Sir RJ. Next question. How can we use collaboration techniques in modular method?
Okay, as I mentioned earlier, yung sa collaboration method natin, pwede tayo mag-assign dito ng specific learner kung sino yung mag-edit or kung sino yung magsasagot ng specific file. Kapag sinabi nating modular yung ating delivery ng instruction, yung activity kaya nung pinakita ko kanina, it would be scheduled ng pagde-deliver sa ating mga bata. At given the collaborative capabilities, such as yung asynchronous methods wherein makakapag-comment tayo doon at makakapagsagot sila doon sa comment. Yun yung isang magandang paraan para ma-ensure na na-accomplish nung ating learner yung kailangan ma-accomplish with the use of the modular approach. So hindi kailangan na sabay na nag-edit si teacher at si student, pero pwedeng isa-send ni teacher yung activity kay student within the start of the week. Tapos on a Friday, i-check ulit ni teacher kung na-modify na ni student yung specific file. I-check niya yung comments, yung gawa ni students doon. Pwede mag-follow up comments si teacher at pwede niyang mag-check kung yung specific points to consider na minention ni teacher doon ay nasunod nga talaga ni students. Okay? So, as mentioned earlier, yung pag-click mo doon sa specific comments kung done na o hindi, you will be having a means para matrack kung nagawa na talaga ni student yung mga dapat niyang gawin doon sa specific document. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Sir RJ. So, shout out po kay Miss Catherine Sismondo. Thank you very much for sending us a super sticker. Thank you very much, ma'am, for your support sa Habi Web Technologies and of course, sa ating guest speaker for today. Thank you. All right. Third question. I think this is regarding Google Hangouts.
Yes.
Can I put a student in multiple groups at the same time so he can jump from one group to another?
Yes, it is possible. Ang question lang lagi dyan is, what is the rationale behind that one? Like for example, dahil ba yung student parang hindi siya makapag-work well together with that specific group, or dahil ba siya yung let's say siya yung president ng class na kailangan medyo may visibility on the other activities ng ibang students. So in that regard, for example, na president ng class, tas bibigyan siya ng specific role na kailangan niyang i-monitor yung, let's say, yung ibang mga teams or ibang mga groups, then pwede mo siyang i-add doon. As I mentioned, you just simply add in the email address of the student onto that specific group at automatically masasama na siya dyan. Very much similar dun sa ating mga chat applications na ginagamit. Thank you.
All right, thank you again, sir. I think this is about Google Hangouts pa rin po, no? Is Google Meet the same with Google Hangouts? And what is the maximum number of members or students in Google Hangouts?
Okay. As I mentioned po, Hangouts and Meet have different purposes. Google Meet is more used para sa mas malaking audiences, while Google Hangouts is used for smaller conversations. Yung tinatawag nating mga chats or groups on are also called conversations, and these conversations could only include a maximum of 150 people only. So kapag mas malaking grupo, like for example buong year level, lahat ng grade 9 for example, mas magiging kapag yung Meet na gagamitin natin. Now for example naman kung kunyari pair work or let's say groups of 3 lang yung ating kailangan i-monitor, mas magandang gamitin natin yung Hangout para mas ma-organize natin sa mas maliliit na mga subgroups yung ating students. Ngayon, in terms of, again, conversations, it could, sa Hangouts, it could have a maximum of 150 people. Kapag nagsabay-sabay video call sila, it could only accommodate up to only 10 for the Gmail or 25 para sa ating business or education tier. Kasi as we know merong libre tsaka merong yung may bayad sa Google. So again, kapag libre lang hanggang 10 lang yung kaya niyang i-accommodate na video call doon. Thank you.
All right, so this is our last question. Which collaboration method is best to use in the primary wherein students have less knowledge in navigating the Google Sheets, etc.?
Again po, dito po papasok yung ating pedagogy in terms of teaching, in terms of giving out our students different tasks. Okay? So again, with the use of this collaborative software, kapag primary level po, it is necessary po na magkaroon ng participation yung ating parents dito. Kasi sila yung mostly magiging in control with the specific accounts. Kasi another thing to consider is that kapag minor de edad yung bata, hindi yung specific privacy concerns. So at the very least of legal age dapat sila before they are supposed to use these various platforms. But ang workaround doon is to enable their parents as the point of contact, as the collaborators in utilizing these specific tools. Okay? Thank you.
All right. Thank you again, Sir RJ, for your time and for sharing your expertise with our viewers. Any message po for our participants?
Thank you po palagi sa pagsuporta ninyo sa Habi Web Technologies. And sana patuloy lang po kayo magsuporta at makinig sa mga webinars na ino-offer ng Habi Web. Thank you very much.
Thank you once again, Sir RJ. Before we end this session, let us share with you a few announcements. So you can watch the webinar replay videos on our FB page, that's Habi Web Technologies. Please like and follow so you'll get notifications and updates. And on our YouTube channel, so that's www.youtube.com/c/HabiWebTechnologies. Please subscribe and click the tiny bell so you'll get notifications as well. Lastly, you can also watch the replay videos on our official website. Just visit www.habiwebtechnologies.com and click webinars at the top menu. Click the webinar code, that's HWTDCSAL001, which stands for Developing Collaborative Skills Among Learners. There, you'll also find the post-assessment form, which contains the quiz. This is one take only, and you'll also see here the evaluation. The form will be available today at 5 p.m. until August 7. This is where you can download your certificate as well, which will be available on August 14. Again, important dates to remember: quiz and evaluation deadline. The form will be available today at 5 p.m. until August 7. Then the certificate release date is on August 14, 2020. Upcoming webinars. So we're done with today's webinar, but we still have lots of webinars on our list for the month of August. We have practical cybersecurity awareness for teachers on Monday, August 3. We also have 2-day extensive Google Forms, 2-day extensive Google Classroom, Open Broadcaster Software or OBS Part 2, and exploring online quiz applications. So how to register for our webinars? This is very easy. To register for our webinars, all you have to do is first, like and follow our FB page for updates and notifications. Second, subscribe to Habi Web Technologies YouTube channel. Third, click Going as the response to the events that we released on our FB page. And lastly, share our events on your timeline or group chats so your friends, family, and colleagues can join too. Hashtag sharing is caring. And don't forget to read the event details carefully. So that's it. After doing these simple steps, just wait for the YouTube live stream on the scheduled webinar date and time. Okay, I think that ends our webinar on developing collaborative skills among learners. We hope to see you on our webinar entitled Practical Cybersecurity Awareness for Teachers on Monday from 9 a.m. to 12 noon. Thank you very much, everyone, and God bless us all.